going back to what I was saying, it was the loudest fart I've ever had. And as it was coming through, I let it rip, and it sounded like a fucking elephant. I'm not gonna lie. Pretty much, except it was just guttural. And one of my buddies, Harris, he comes out and goes, "What the fuck was that?" He had already built his entire thing. I was like, "I farted." He goes, "I thought we just got attacked, dude." And I think about that.
We got attacked by elephants.
It was bad, man.
Well, I mean, I go all the way back to the days of, fart jokes.
Oh, that's the standard in the military, that's for sure.
When it came to the loss of my hair, which I blame on our uncle, Roy. But it's just hereditary. Anywho, okay, so that was something that you just found funny as hell. You already told us about what you got from it. What is one thing that you would say that the military's just not good?
There's a running joke about what makes the military great. The people. What do you remember the most? The people. What was the best thing about the military? The people. What pissed you off the most?
Mm-hmm.
The people. And what caused most of the problems? The people. Military is a grain of salt like any other organization. You take it or make it. The only difference between it is that, it's suffering and collectivity. You collectively suffer in capital punishment in terms of, if one person fucks up, you all are gonna fuck up. It's the whole fuck games of the military in every branch. I don't care who it is. Army, Marines, Navy, Air Force, Coast Guard, even those twiddle diddlers, new cats, the Space Force. They're all going to say the same thing. You're going to have fuck games in the military, and it's always going to bother you. My thing was the capital punishment, because take care of yourself. Just do your shit. And I learned that the hard way. In many situations, being an idiot, young soldier and all that kind of stuff. I fucked up plenty of times. But the first thing is like, hey, I fucked up. What do I need to do to whatever? Go do this.
But the story is that I read that your father didn't do so much like that. He actually fucked up in a way where he knocked his commanding...
Our dad?
Yeah, well, we're doing this for, circumstantial, You apparently...
Okay.
He knocked somebody out, like
going through that jacket.
And you had something right along the lines, like pretty close.
Going through that jacket.
Okay.
He got into a piss match with his CO. It was in terms of trying to take care of family, and he got into his face, and he was in an authoritative state to where he was going to hit him. And, different levels of, communication. Verbal's only 50% communication. The rest of it's nonverbal and, body position. And
in your time frame or his?
That's just in general.
Okay.
That's anyone. You could be talking to somebody, but they can appear to be standoffish, or they can appear to be violent or something like that. He was ready to knock this guy out. So, mine was, the guy, the specific, leader, just a specific person that I was under, was talking smack, and it was overseas. We got into an argument, which is not supposed to be done. it's like fucking Roger and move on. But I wasn't gonna handle some of the shit he was saying because it was very rude. So I was gonna turn around, and I wanted to crack him over the head with my Kevlar, but I had buddies of mine that were like, "Hey, calm down," this type of thing. And we settled it in an old school fashion. And there's a lot of guys, especially some viewers, that if they want to watch, if they watch and they kind of come into the same situation. Back in the old school days of the military, predominantly in the Army and the Marines, from what I know, it was something called a wall-to-wall counseling, and shit's not allowed anymore because basically we'll use a hypothetical situation. You are the senior enlisted, and I'm just Joe Schmo, and we've got a beef going on. Well, you drop tops, and what dropping tops means is that at that point in time, rank is no longer in that situation, and you go fisticuffs. No matter who wins, no matter who loses, when it's done, and whatever caused the situation, it's gone.
Rank is not allowed.
Rank is no longer a situation, and we weren't supposed to, but we had a full boxing gloves, the helmet, and all that kind of jazz. Went into the back, of where we were at, and we just went down. Threw some fisticuffs. I busted a lip. He bruised out an eye, busted my nose. It was done. We actually have never had a situation like that ever again. So
there's a book that I specifically gave you from Dr. O, and there is a part. Probably I think it was like
3 parts. Three parts when it comes to situations were like that, but
specifically with him and his CO.
Yes, but that was because of in the book it talks about a drunken night, but the second one was because of a specific command, an order that he had issued while in country during a tick. That will actually end up getting a couple people killed. In the book, it expressed he was going to end up getting into a fight. The other one, it was just because the whole
that's the one that I'm talking about. This one is in the fucking the R&R. So what we're talking about is from Dr. Robert Ordonez's book, One Year in Vietnam, and he is my primary doctor. I still have a book wrapped in cellophane that's never been opened and read, sitting right there. But I made sure that I had him specifically write one and sign it for you, and hopefully you would go in there and talk with him, because he's about to retire. He's old as shit, man. He was in Vietnam, and he's still serving and practicing. But there's a part in there where his little ass, I guess I'll take on, and just goes to town in the hall and just wreck shop. What would you say was your funniest time of, well, we had a little bit to embow. It's fun time, but that got crazy.
Probably a full barracks party. We were a military police platoon across the area because of what unit we were attached to, from an infantry cap, and an infantry bat itself. So basically, what ended up happening is we were having our own drinks and all that kind of stuff, and it turned around to where we would start yelling out dumb shit to them, kind of just talking smack, and it almost got into a full-blown barracks fight between the two of us. Alcohol was unfortunately strongly involved on both ends. It turned around to where we were throwing bottles across the courtyard at each other. Luckily enough, no fisticuffs happened. However, we had all gone to bed, and it'd been a couple hours since then, and I'm having a cigarette, middle of the night. It's on the weekend. I didn't have work in the next day. And staff duty NCO, he comes out and he's just staring out, looking out the fucking carnage of boxes and food and bottles that we were throwing across at each other. And he looks at it and goes, "You know who did this?" And I'm like, "Nope." Not one bit. He goes, "All right, go away." So I knew exactly what was going to happen. So I went away. I got in my car and left. I went to a friend of mine's house, and luckily he was still awake. Went and hung out with him, but no joke. Got a text message. "Hey, are you in your room?" No, I'm not in my room. Well, shit, there, whole thing going around, and staff is waking everybody up. I'm like, "Oh shit, that sucks." Click. I made sure I was not there.
Hear no, see no,
yeah,
not
pretty
there.
much. But there's always those situations that might happen. So,
all right, so let's go a little bit further on. So as I know that like you are really into Japanese kind of thing, and you kind of have a love for video games and that kind of stuff, which I mean we can hit on another time, but this time I want to ask you one question: is like you were always a gamer as a kid.
yeah.
When did you find that physical, like, I can do that, and how did physicality and fun come into the mix for you to go into the military?
The physicality behind it all, I always struggle with. I won't lie. It turned around into a point of you're gonna have to do it anyway, so you might as well fake enjoy it while you got it.
Okay.
I think the biggest thing that I probably enjoyed, and I say it now. Back then, I fucking hated it, and I still technically I fucking hated it.
Oh shit.
It was the runs that we had to do. At the post at Carson, that where I was stationed at, and they have a whole bunch of hills and all that kind of stuff. Hills, mountains, Como Hill, NBC Hill, all that kind of thing. Trying to run those, it turned around where I actually, in suffrage with everybody else, it was more of that camaraderie of everyone kind of helping him increase it and kind of build it back up, keep going and keep going. Hey, don't stop, that type of thing. I turned that around, and that actually that was my favorite part of doing the whole physicality behind it all.
Okay. Well, I want to go a little bit further on, if you don't mind. Prior to that, let's go to your younger age. Were you a physical person? Were you an active person?
Not really. The closest thing I did was like pee-wee basketball. When it came to physicality, I was an inside kid. I was always wanting to kind of, being like that fucking nerd that doesn't want to go outside or anything like that. But I many years like, oh, you can't make it in that getting that shit throughout high school and all that pity party crap. Part of me was just wanting to prove them wrong.
Were you a popular kid? No,
not really.
Okay. So even in your younger days that maybe influenced you, do you have some kind of a memory of the past of what made you man up and say, I can take pain? Or pain is okay and I can deal with it?
I think, honestly, backyard wrestling. In fact, the backyard wrestling, this guy made me do it. This is the one that made me do it all. No, it was with our group of friends, your main friends and the people that I knew during the summer, whenever I was able to come around. Just doing that whole backyard wrestling.
So when you say backyard wrestling,
I'm talking
what
about
does that entail with?
I'm talking about us doing, the dumb, stupid shit of, all the stuff. Suplexes, power bombs, pins, all that kind of thing. On the trampoline and all that kind of stuff. That's what I really enjoyed. That honestly was probably kind of what started breaking that shell, that outer shell of wanting to not do anything physical.
Mm-hmm.
and it turned around where, okay, this can kind of be fun. Doing this type of stuff is definitely a fun thing to do. I think
There's a really good photo of you from back in the MySpace days,
oh,
where you're jumping off of a roof with a samurai sword.
I still have that photo. So that was for a school project.
But that was after the backyard wrestling.
That was actually my sophomore, kind of sophomore going into junior year in high school. It was a photography class, and there was 3 of us in a project, and it was stills, and it was the whole based off of standoffs and combat. And there's actually quite a few more with that. I had a katana that I had back in my kendo days, and what that was actually me jumping off. That wasn't a sword. That was actually a stick that we had whittled down and got as close to look at it.
But
from
it
the
looked
distance.
like a sword.
It
looked
looked very close to it.
Yeah, in the picture it did.
And it was actually, there was actually a lot more ones that we really couldn't put, for community standard guidelines and all that kind of stuff. You know how the dumb shit that can be. It was more so where it was faked out, where sword went through and all that kind of stuff, but we wanted to do action shots of fiction to non-fiction applications in the photos. So the non-fiction one was a light and dark, and it was my friend of mine. He had a katana of his own version. It was a black blade. Mine was a standard, just straight steel, and the picture actually comes out to where there is a black blade, and mine stands out because it was raining that day. But it was an overcast, so it was really light was glowing off off the sword itself. And so when we had to move on to one last photo of us.
But you were jumping off of a roof.
That was the last photo that we did, and it was to show how certain things overcome. And so it was a 1-story house, and it was my buddy, he turned around to run away, and we timed it well enough to where it was me just as I jumped off right at the crest before the fall, and where I had the blade itself was down like this, and I was coming down just like this. He was way to hell in front of me, but I angled myself to look like as if I was going to go straight at him.
But let me ask you something. You were doing this after your time in backyard wrestling. You were jumping off of a roof. Was there any padding underneath?
Oh, hell no. It was straight grass. That was all it was.
You were just going straight to the ground.
Yeah, well,
Would you have done that without your backyard anything? Or
No, because in fact I wanted to do more risky shots in terms of how the photos were gonna pan out. Mm-hmm. I wanted to be able to I wanted to try to see if I can, even if I fall on my ass or break my neck or something, I wanted to do a weird Matrix style flip and have them take a shot from there. And we tried a couple times where I would go halfway and then kind of hit the ground and kind of roll away. But we just couldn't get the shot. It would be, one person was fine, but myself, I was just too blurry in the movement. So, but yeah, no, there was no padding or anything like that. The only padding is that the ground was turning to mud because it was raining.
Did you get any trouble for that? Because it's an epic photo.
Well,
for all those years before.
I was with Mom at that time, and she did not know until after I had already left, because at that time it was moved into Facebook days, around Facebook when it was starting, and when that was my profile picture.
MySpace.
Well, she didn't have MySpace.
Oh, okay.
When I had it on Facebook, it was actually the year that I left, and she goes, "Where did you get this photo?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, no, we took this picture a while ago." And she was like, "Are you fucking kidding me? We were jumping off the house." And I kind of stared at the phone. I'm like, you have caught me coming outside, wondering where the hell I am in the middle of the night, and I'm on top of the house, clear as day, all that kind of stuff. Being able to look up at the stars, I would just sit there and lay on top of the house. I don't know. I've always felt comfortable in higher places. It's just a weird sensation.
You know, which is funny, and I'm not going to break kayfabe too much with UBW, but the fact is when we brought you in with UBW, you loved only one thing, is being choke slammed by CJ
By none other the man, the myth, the legend.
as high as he could go, and he was 6'4", 6'6", somewhere.
He was putting me about 8.5 feet in the air.
So he was going, his arm reach all the way down and slamming you, and you would bounce higher than his head.
Yep.
Because back in those days, it was on a trampoline,
Yes, it
and
was.
Dad wouldn't let you do it on the ground because he said, I don't want to deal with that. Don't hurt him. Yeah.
No, I enjoyed it. Even just jumping on the trampoline, it was fun to me.
You are the first person to suplex CJ on camera.
I'm going to caveat this. He helped me a lot. my barely over 100-pound ass was not.
You weren't
lifting
even
that
there, dude.
motherfucker.
You were maybe 75 pounds.
I was probably about 90 something pounds
But
back then.
you grabbed him, you hooked him, and you flipped him. Yeah, it's on a trampoline, but guess what? It was all a part of the show, and you did it.
Yeah.
He wouldn't have done it for anybody else.
No, and he was really hesitant about doing a lot of that kind of stuff around me. One, it was the whole not wanting to get in trouble with Dad because he didn't want to hurt me or anything. Exactly. And I know, in fact, he would tell me numerous times, "No, Ty, we got to calm down. I don't want to hurt you." But
Yep.
It was either getting choke slammed by him or doing the Hurricanrano on you.
Yeah, well, the only thing is I was the only person short enough to take it because the other two were